What is going on, Bucs fans, NCFP fans? Evan Wanish here back at you with yet another video talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And today we are going to be discussing the job security of Buccaneers head coach Todd Bowles. Now, I know we did the Tuesday show, and that was mostly about Todd Bowles' job security, but I want to get into what a win would mean for Todd Bowles and the future. If the Buccaneers would then make the playoffs, would he be safe? What a loss would potentially do for Todd Bowles as well. So just want to get right out in front of it. Todd Bowles is absolutely not safe. I do not believe his job is safe. I don't think he's out of the woods yet. That 4-game win streak, it certainly helps. It certainly did help. But unfortunately, when you have a performance like you did last Sunday against the New Orleans Saints, where the Buccaneers just looked simply unprepared, unmotivated, and not ready to play, it begs into question, the head coach. I think that falls on the head coach. The Bucs were not prepared to play a massive divisional game where they could have clinched the division and not had to worry about this week. So I do think that falls on Todd Bowles, and I think that is a big reason why, like, if the Buccaneers do decide to move on from Todd Bowles, I think you could see that game as like the turning point, perhaps. And basically, I'm going to come right out in front and say it. I do think there is a chance that he's fired, even if the Buccaneers make the playoffs. Now, people say, "Oh, even if he's not, even if the Bucs don't win on Sunday, he's still going to be in Tampa." I have a hard time believing that. That's not source. That's just my personal opinion. I would have a hard time seeing him be back in Tampa Bay if the Buccaneers were to lose and miss out on the playoffs completely. You're talking about losing 2 straight games to end the season, 2 straight divisional games where you had a chance to win the division in each of those games, and you're playing the worst team in the NFL. I mean, it absolutely has to be a win if Todd Bowles wants to keep his job. Absolutely has to. I think he's 100% gone if the Buccaneers were to lose this game. We'll get into if the Buccaneers were to win this game a little bit later as well, but I want to look at Todd Bowles' head coaching record overall and what he's done in the past with the Jets and with the Buccaneers last year, because I think that's important as well. And I think that adds context as to why Todd Bowles may be on the hot seat here. 2015, his first season with the Jets, 10-6. That ended up being his only winning season as a head coach so far in his career. Now, he can make that 2 with a win on Sunday. He can make that 2. The Buccaneers would be 9-8. That would be another winning record. He can make that a second winning record. But his first year as a head coach was the only year he had a winning record. He followed that up with 2 straight 5-11 seasons in 2016 and 2017 before finishing 4-12 in 2018 and then being fired. And of course, we all know in 2022, he was 8-9 with the Buccaneers, now sitting at 8-8. So when you look at Todd Bowles, the fact that he's only had 1 winning season over the course of his head coaching career, it's telling. And I understand it's not completely all on him. A lot of times the Jets rosters weren't that great. There's a lot of dysfunction in the front office, this and that. They couldn't find a quarterback. I believe that's when they had that whole Ryan Fitzpatrick like held out type deal. It was super weird. There was a lot of things going on with the Jets. However, it still falls on Todd Bowles at the end of the day. You are what your record says you are, and right now Todd Bowles has 1 winning record as a head coach, and the rest of it has not been good. And so far, the Buccaneers have been, quite frankly, an average football team. They are 8-9 last year. They're 8-8 this year. That is the definition of average, and just don't know if the Buccaneers want to sign up for that with Todd Bowles. Now, let's get into it. All right, let's get into what I think is the most likely scenario. Okay, I do think that the Buccaneers are most likely going to beat the Panthers on Sunday and win the NFC South for the 3rd straight season, go to the playoffs for the 4th straight season, and that's great. Like that is definitely a good thing, especially for like the winning culture. However, I don't think Todd Bowles' job is completely safe, even if he wins that game. Will it help? Absolutely, it will absolutely help going to the playoffs. I think what matters more, though, is I think how that playoff game transpires will matter a whole lot more for Todd Bowles and his staff. Because last year, the Buccaneers were embarrassed in the playoffs by the Dallas Cowboys. Quite frankly, just embarrassed. And it was clear that they were not on the same playing field as the Dallas Cowboys last year. So it was really just an uneven matchup. 31-14 was the final. Dallas wins. And now the Buccaneers have another opportunity to potentially face an NFC East opponent, potentially the Dallas Cowboys. It could be the Dallas Cowboys again, looking most likely like it's going to be the Philadelphia Eagles. But if the Buccaneers were to come out and have a repeat performance of that Dallas game last year, I don't know if Todd Bowles has a job the following week. Like I really do not. I think the Buccaneers would move on because basically, what are you doing here? Essentially, you're barely making the playoffs only because it's a poor division, and then you get blown out in the wild card round. I just don't really see a bright future there, and I don't think the Buccaneers would either. So I do think there would be a pretty decent chance that Todd Bowles would be let go if the Buccaneers were to get blown out in that wild card game and just not look competitive. Now, I'm not saying that Todd Bowles has to win that wild card game. I know there's some. I my personal opinion, I think he should. That should be the requirement to win that wild card game. But just what I think will happen, I don't think he has to win the wild card game. But I do think he has to be competitive. His football team has to be competitive in that game. Losing 27-20 against the Eagles is a lot different than losing 31-13 against the Eagles. It's a lot different. And I think that's going to matter in the eyes of the Glazers. I think it's going to matter in the eyes of Jason Light as well. And I don't know about Todd Bowles' job, but I do think even with a loss, he could still keep his job because I do think you could see progress there. The Buccaneers were under 500 technically last year. They're over 500 this year with all the dead cap they had. Tom Brady retiring, working in a brand new quarterback, a first-time play caller, offensive coordinator. A lot of the injuries, Ryan Jensen never coming back, Russell Gage going down. There's been a lot of inconsistencies from a lot of players. They've dealt with a lot, and to have a 9-8 record, I think would speak a lot for Bowles. However, I do think that the end of the season is going to matter a lot and how the season ends, whether it's with a loss either way. I don't really think, like I said, a close loss, I think helps Todd Bowles a lot. A blowout loss, I think may eventually doom him because basically if you're sitting as a lame duck head coach heading into year 3, it's kind of like a Dirk Cutter situation, honestly. If the Buccaneers were to get blown out in the playoff game, I would just think that, yeah, like you're just delaying the inevitable. Basically, the Buccaneers kept Dirk Cutter for a third year following a 5-11 season, and the Buccaneers went 5-11 again the following season. Dirk Cutter was fired. So I do think, if the Buccaneers were to lose big in that wild card game, it would be delaying the inevitable and just sort of kicking the can down the road. And I don't see the point in that. So I do think that Todd Bowles' job is definitely not safe. I know there's a lot of Bucs fans that want to move on. I get it. And I think you may get your wish. I think you will get your wish if the Buccaneers do not defeat the Panthers on Sunday. But assuming they do, which I still think is the most likely outcome, I do think that the playoff game results definitely matter. So let me know what you guys think about Todd Bowles, and is he on the hot seat? Let me know what you think about if the Buccaneers win on Sunday. Does that change things? If they lose on Sunday, does that change things? I'm always curious to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Please don't forget to check out the brand new episode that we did about Todd Bowles, going a little bit more in depth on things on the Tuesday show. Go check that out on the channel here or anywhere you can listen to a podcast. But thank you all for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and go Bucs.